Hello and welcome to this very basic short course that's aimed at getting you on board with using Bluebeam Revu for your taking off. This course won't go into great depth about the software and all its capabilities. Instead, we're just going to take a shortcut straight to getting it set up for you so that you'll be able to dive straight into using it after these lessons. As you're attending this tutorial, you've no doubt heard about how you can digitally take off straight into spreadsheets directly from PDF drawings without printing using Bluebeam. However, using the software straight out the box, so to speak, is at first glance a bit daunting, and that's due to all the panes, icons and menu options that the software ships with. This is a short course, and it's a shortcut to getting you working with the tools, getting you introduced to a workflow that you can start using immediately and be fairly productive. The idea being that we have taken the sting out of some of the learning curve for you, and will get you set up in a way that's suitable for quantity surveyors. Once you've had a bit more experience in using the software, you will invariably start to pick up on its other capabilities and functions. As it's so generic a tool, it can be a bit daunting in terms of all the options, menus and icons, as I said, and the fact there seem to be several different ways to do the same thing in the software, and they're all kind of aimed at slight different parts of the industry and different industries. All that can be a bit confusing, but hopefully we're going to simplify all that. So the aim is, by the end of these lessons, you will have a profile set up that you can use, be familiar with the tools, the built-in tools in Bluebeam that you use for measuring, know how to directly measure from PDFs, and then how to save and export your data and takeoffs straight back into spreadsheets from Bluebeam. And along the way we'll show you a few very basic do's, don'ts and best practice. I use the word profile there. Profile is a way of setting the software up so that each time you come back to it, it's set up to your preferred options and toolboxes, so on and so forth. For instance, when we open the software, you'll see all the different panes and toolboxes, and if you were a multi-trade surveyor, you wouldn't have room for all the toolboxes for all the different industries. For instance, you'd have a raft of tools for plastering and roofing and plumbing and whatever. That's radically different from what we do in brickwork. So one thing to drum into you from the get-go: if you make any changes to your profile, always save it immediately, because if you don't, when you shut the software down, when you come back to use the software, any changes you've made in that session will have disappeared because you haven't saved them. So I can't stress the importance of that enough. So with all that in mind, we need to get you have your software set up the same way as mine, so you can follow along. And the way we do that is, well, let's open Bluebeam. The first time you open it, you'll be presented with some links to review tutorials and a little bit of an explanation from Bluebeam about the software. Again, it's quite generic. It's worth watching, it's quite useful, but again, as it's so generic across multi-industries, it only touches on the basics. It doesn't quite join the dots for you. So what we're doing here is introducing a profile that I've created, and how we do that is we go up to the review menu, and we go down to profiles, and we go into manage profiles, and dialog window will pop up asking you to import. So click on import, browse to where you've saved the profile that I've provided you with. It's called survey. Click OK, back up to review, into profiles, and tick quantity survey. Now you notice the screen changed somewhat, and yours should look something like this. Let me know if it doesn't, and I'll have a quick look. So if you've had a play around with it already, you'll notice this is quite different. It's greatly simplified, but it still warrants a bit of an explanation. So let's dive into explaining the basics. On the left hand side here, you've got all your toolboxes. This whole pane is driven by this ribbon menu. Your toolboxes are accessed via the tool chest icon. You've got all manner of different toolboxes I've provided you with. We'll go on to explain about those later on. And you can see the need for profiles also. If we had toolboxes for every industry, we'd have no room left on the screen. This is where you will access all the files that you will bring in and out of Bluebeam. It's accessed by this sort of looks like a filing cabinet icon, file access. At the moment, these are the only two icons on this ribbon that we need. So again, this pane is driven by this ribbon menu here. Over on the right, you've got the measurements icon. When we start putting stuff into this workspace window, the options from this will start to populate with data. And the other icon is the properties of the measuring tools are accessed via this cog here. And again, you've got the usual Windows-like ribbon menu at the top. You can access your tools from there. You can configure all the toolbars. It's highly customizable and configurable. As I said before, this is the workspace, the work pane. And down the very bottom, you've got this. This is called the Markups List. Basically, this is a spreadsheet, and it acts very much like a spreadsheet, and it is configurable like a spreadsheet. When Bluebeam ships generically straight out of the box, there's hundreds of columns in here that are pre-built, and the reason I simplify this is we only actually need the very basic function that Bluebeam provides, and as I said, straight out the box there's so many options, the data just becomes overwhelming, and unless you know how to filter it all out, you will just struggle. So this is a dumbed down version, but this is all we need. We just need to be able to measure straight from drawings. Our markups and data will go straight into this sheet, as you'll see, and you'll be able to export it into a spreadsheet.